Alrighty, how we doing? The swang is the swang. Hey, happy Friday, boy. Previously on Kimba TV. Okay, do you see why the easiest long Kextasy is it goes back inside, it turns it into support. This is the long I want. Okay, with this long and this long, the price action was different. Okay, and by the way, that's a poor and a weak low. So that, I don't know if I would ever, even if I got in a time machine, I went back in time 100 times, I don't think I'm ever taking that long. Ladies and gentlemen, oh wait, you know what? Let's not fiend it yet. We didn't even do the TA yet. My bad. How we doing? Y'all ready for some 15 seconds? Well, ooh, gold. A lot of work today, gold. All right, well, I mean, we have the CME gap. So 60, I mean, it's the same as yesterday, 60K. Wow. Are we going to stay above the value? Yes or no? So same as yesterday, really. If we come back down and we're gonna test the 60, 59.5 to 60,000 zone, might be a potential long. Yeah, and if it doesn't fill the gap, then that's strength. Paper Bell says, Biddy literally did nothing since you left last night. Yeah, but it did start to do this. It is starting to do that. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty simple. If we stay above value, great. It can't lose 60. Can't lose like 59.5. So that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. If it doesn't gap fill at all, it doesn't even go and try to gap fill, because you guys can, we already talked about this, right? If it starts to hang around, then it's got a good chance to fill it. But if it keeps shwink, then that's going to be a sign of strength. All right, so bullish case scenario, the most bullish thing you could do, you don't even go into the gap. The second most bullish, you gap fill and go. The most bearish would be you lose it and you start to spend time below 60K. You could go as high as 64 and it could still be bearish. So it really hasn't changed since yesterday. And a lot of this stuff that I'm saying is kind of like by the book. So you guys already know this. You guys have seen this 1,000 times. If it doesn't even gap fill, it's a sign of strength. If it gap fills and goes, good. But if it gap fills and it starts to spend time below 59.5, 60,000, that's weakness. Do you guys know what level I've been talking about the whole week about where I would think about maybe longing? But I think the low gets swept, so that's a little bit of a tough one. But 52 might be an entertainable long. So that's it, y'all. That's it. We've got the gap down below. Bulls, if you really want to get nasty, don't even get in there. If you do slip in there, you better gap fill and go. That's about it. Alrighty, y'all excited to see what happens today? That's the battle for today, y'all. Blink John says, if it gap fills, wouldn't it be safe to assume it would be on US market open? As long as you're not just randomly guessing, Blink John, and you're comparing the last 10 gap fills, and it's based off of data. Sometimes people get really cute and they want to make up shit that thinks sounds good, but you make sure that you base it off of data. So is that what you have seen the last 8, 9, 10 times, however big your sample size is? As long as it's not some cute thing that your mind is trying to make up. All right? That's the worst thing that you can do as a retail trader. Lee Kwok, Artarzeva, Indo Lion, you good? Sammy, you good? Killtrocity says, save gap for CPI. You would want to see it react today. You wouldn't want it to be next Wednesday. Yeah, you would want it to be today. Whether you're a bear or a bull, you would want it today. You wouldn't want to pump on a Friday with the gap so close below to the downside after filling a gap. That's data that we've seen that on like a Friday. So you would want to see the reaction today. I don't know if you would want to save that for next Wednesday. Jeremy says, would you agree if we reclaim monthly open daily RPOC and turn it into support? So Jeremy, again, you're not really talking about data. What does open interest look like? When you say reclaim monthly open, how long are you talking about? All right, so you need to be able to tell me, if we reclaim monthly open, how many candle closes are you talking about? What time frame? When we go down to monthly open or go up to a level, what is the open interest doing? What does the CVD look like? And are monthly open reclaims good on a Friday? Are any time frame opens reclaims on a Friday good, Jeremy? So a lot of these ideas that you have, start keeping track of the data. Keep track of the data for 6, 7, 8 months, and then you will start to formulate your own bias. Alrighty, Blink John says, I was reading that usually gap fills happen on market open, but I didn't sample it myself. Gotta do it. That's why even everything that I say, Blink John, I always tell you guys, don't take what I say at face value. See it for yourself. Okay? And I think with traditional markets like S&P, that's a little bit more valid. But with crypto, it's a little bit harder, I think, Blink John. But see it for yourself, though. Alrighty. Mandelo just gifted a sub. What's going on? Azaz says, you want to wait till Monday to take a long in the zone? No, if it comes down here and it gap fills and it reclaims and it starts to spend time again, I wouldn't be afraid to take it. Azaz, make sure that you get caught up on last night's YouTube highlight. Because this, what I just talked about, we already talked about last night with this. I said since the PDPOC and the PD value area high and the previous month value area low is in this 59.5 cluster, if it does this and it starts to hang out and tries to go, that's not a bad long. It doesn't really matter for me if it's a Friday or not. I would still take it. Okay. You also know that I have a 62.4 short, right? How did you take that 62.4 short, like execution wise? Well, I already had 62.360 marked out. So like this. I started feeling all this. But I would say, again, that if you didn't have this line drawn and you didn't have the significance for it, I think it would be hard for you to take that like I did. Alrighty. But that level has been there for quite some time now. Corbin Dallas says, are we longing when it hits that mark? Stop the music. Corbin, are you able to tell if you have a bullish or a bearish edge? Corbin, we're all looking at the same shit. Can you tell if the open interest is bullish or bearish? Can you tell me if there's a CVD divergence? If you can't tell me that there's a reason to long, don't even trade, Corbin. Okay, we're all looking at the same stuff. All righty. Get nasty on them. Easy money, Bugatti money, ho! Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Bulls. Uh-oh, Bulls, you better bounce this thing. Bulls, you better bounce this thing. Bulls, you better bounce this thing. Uh-oh. Ow! Bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye. Bye, 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 bye. You gotta buy, Bulls. You gotta buy. You gotta buy. You gotta buy, Bulls. Otherwise, it's gonna be buy, 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 buy. You heard me? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Houston, Cage. Y'all ready to get nasty on a little more ZZ? Let me know if you guys have any questions. What y'all think about all this? All right, any questions? All right, so stop the music for a second. Hey, Bears, what has to happen? Bulls, what has to happen? Talk to me. Bulls, what do you need to do? What do you need to do, Bulls? What do you need to do, Bulls? Right? So that's step number 1. Step number 2. All right, and then step number 3. Bears, what do you need to do? Don't let them claim that. Any questions? Easy money, Bugatti money? All right, let the math guide you. Let the math guide you. Y'all Gucci? Any questions? So how many of y'all got caught up on the TA? How many of y'all see this? We're all looking at the same shit, yes? What is this? What is this? Dink, 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 dink. Do you have your risk managed? You guys Gucci? Hey, whether you're in the short, I still have my short by the way, but whether you're in a short or a long, you got a lot of work to do. But how many of y'all are excited for the scalp stream? Hands up. It's gonna be like this. You're getting kind of like a sneak peek for the scalp stream. Y'all ready? Let's go! Mr. Lucas says, was this enough to play it along just above CME gap? That seemed greedy. So stop the music. It depends, Mr. Lucas. How many gap fills have you seen yourself? I've seen, I think 5,000. Yeah. So it depends on if you've seen stuff like this before or not. Okay. By the way, this is, do you see the bottom right corner? That's adjusted, by the way. So you're looking at your own chart, right? Make sure that you non-adjust as well. But the other thing too is how many, have you seen these many times or not? If you've been a long time viewer, I used to get left behind on longs here all the time. Yeah. Do you remember what I said in the 15-second TA? If the gap doesn't get filled, what that means? Did you hear what I said? Or not just what I said, but have you seen it yourself when it goes into the gap but then bounces out right away? When it does that, does it do a complete gap fill? If this is the gap and it starts to go like this and it gets out, does it actually complete the gap fill? Sometimes I might be like this, sometimes it might get real close, but conceptually, if you want to wick in and out, do you want the full gap fill, Mr. Lucas? So let this be like a learning opportunity for you. Probability-wise, sometimes it doesn't close the gap fill. This would also be confluence if you maybe are thinking about wanting to short there. It might grab it later on. Yeah, that might be confluence for you to short 64. All right, so you guys want to kind of take a look at a couple things. A lot of this stuff is just data, and it's not as complicated as some of y'all might think. So Lion Cubs, are you ready? Like I said, 90% of you guys don't need this walkthrough. Half of it, I think, is going to be me spoon feeding y'all. But the other half, I'm hoping that it motivates or inspires you guys to nerd out this weekend on some of this stuff that might not make sense. Alrighty, so let's just take a look at like EXO and what's happening right now. So for the OGs and the veterans that are familiar with open interest on Bybit BTC USD pair, can you guys break down what is happening? Who is getting squeezed? Who is opening positions? Who is closing positions? And at the end of it is the open interest, bullish or bearish. So let's just start with open interest. Okay, so you can clearly see that for the Bybit BTC USD pair, okay, people are longing. Where have they longed from? Starting at this low, okay, and really even down here, but let's just focus on smaller time frames so that it's easier for some of you guys. Starting at that low, you have 85 million in longs open. All right, you have 85 million in longs opening. Okay, from this point, you have 85 million in longs open. Everybody see it? On Bybit BTC USD pair, from that low, shorts have only closed. Okay? And then I think everybody can see it, but look, lower high, higher high. What is this? So when the high trends up like that and it's like this. Okay, so you got a bear div, but you also have, what is this? When it makes a lower low on price, but it makes a higher low. So what kind of bear div versus what kind of bull div? And what do each of those things mean? Which one has a higher probability to play out? Some things that you might want to factor in are, for example, in the past, the last couple CVD bull divs or bear divs, which ones have played out, how high does it usually go, etc. You could throw in extra variables like, can I trust these over the weekend? Do bull divs or bear divs usually, which one plays out over the weekend? This is just on Bybit. And as I always say, observation is not TA. So you can observe a bear div, you can observe a bull div, you can observe that on Bybit, longs are opening, shorts are not opening. Okay? So now let's say that you're going to go over to Binance BTC USDT pair. What's happening over here? What's happening over here? What's happening over here? This is in USDT, so instead of millions of dollars, this is in Bitcoin. So you have 326 Bitcoin long net from this and no shorts. Alrighty, and you can kind of see like, okay, there you go. All right, so after you see what each exchange is doing, now you have to figure out what is the pattern. So for example, if Bybit and Binance are both longing and nobody is shorting and it's a Friday going into a weekend, what is the most likely outcome? What if Bybit is the only one that's longing? What if Bybit is longing but Binance is shorting? What if Binance is longing but Bybit is doing nothing? What if Binance is longing but Bybit is shorting? So that's how you want to start formulating your probability. After you have that, you should identify levels to the upside, levels to the downside, and try to anticipate if those edges that you're seeing, whether it's the CVD hidden bear div or the regular CVD bull div, which one is actually playing out. Some of you guys are going to play the confirmation. Some of you guys are bearish, so you want the bull div to break and you're going to short the bearish retest. Some of you guys are bearish, some of you guys are bullish, so you want to take the bullish retest of, say, the CME gap or the golden pocket retest. Lots of different ways to play this. Alrighty, at the end of the day, for me, if Bitcoin is able to turn this value area low into support, then in my opinion, we're going to rotate all the way to here. That doesn't mean that we just go. It could fake out over the weekend, come back inside and this. So conceptually, it's going to take time. But as long as this value area low is respected, there's a high probability we're going to rotate to the other side. Chris Bay says, why do we have these huge sell walls? Crazy spoof? No. So these are called Binancio Crayolas. Okay? You will see this thousands of times. Okay? And talk with the OGs and the veterans that have been around it. This is called Crayola because they change color. When it's more than 1,000, we call them Binancio Magneto, exclamation Binancio. But whether it's 1,000 or a bunch of Crayolas like this, OGs and veterans, the higher probability is what? The higher probability that it will pull the price and they will spoof it. So they will cancel them. It's rare that they will get filled. But that's why it's exclamation Binancio. Okay, because y'all have seen X-Men, right? It's Magneto, the guy that like he can control metal and shit. Okay, but have there been instances where it doesn't actually fill, like here, or you know, you should go back and try to see the probability. I mean, look at this, right? This was 1,000. This was 1,200 Bitcoin at 47,500. Yeah, so there are scenarios when it does. For example, let me give you a hint. That was weekday. That was weekday. Right? Slash like CME was back on. Sunday night, Monday type of shit. Remember this? So start to take note of how often these get filled and when they happen. You might want to take note on how long they've been here. There's a difference between ones that stick around for a really long time versus say like this, for example, or like this, short. There's a significance. Think about it this way. The longer that it stays, like if you have that much money, regardless of what you think about exchanges, if you have hella money, you're really not going to expose your capital to just kind of fuck around. It's similar to the concept of fuck was I gonna say? I just had a brain fart. It's similar to the concept of when you when you see like 50,000 Bitcoin get transferred to an exchange. It's rare. In fact, I've never seen it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen somebody move 50,000 to sell Bitcoin, not sell anything, and just pull it right back to kind of fuck with people. Because no matter what you think about an exchange, that's a lot of money for something that could go wrong, to risk just to kind of fuck around like that. And so, like, if you're going to put in those limits, whether it's an individual, a collection of individuals, or just random groups, random selection of individuals, that's like real liquidity that is, like the margin is locked, right? To put a 500 Bitcoin, now could it be 100x and it's just bullshit? That's possible too. But for the most part, that margin is locked, and that person can't use that margin and that capital somewhere else. If there was, like these people are not that dumb. So if there was a way to put that somewhere else to make more money, whether it's arbitrage or staking or another investment opportunity, they would probably do it. So anyways, stuff to think about would be like how long these walls exist. Okay, because they are committing liquidity there. So it's rare that they will commit that kind of liquidity to just kind of fuck around. Like it's gonna either pull the price or yeah. But anyways, just take a look at what happens. Watch what happens and start paying attention. Everybody understand what might happen? So let me ask you guys a couple questions, and if this doesn't make sense yet, it's okay. So let's say, for example, you understand that there's a lot of all of these longs, right, that are open from here, okay? And you understand. So, for example, if you see a swing fail pattern and it comes up here, okay? So you have structural edge, but you don't have any of these open interest stays up here. Is that a safe long? Which one is a better long? You get a swing fail pattern, but one cleans out the longs, the other does not. Which one is a better scenario? All right, so you could still have the same exact structural edge, but one is gonna clean out longs, one will not, right? So you can't just be, and here's the other thing. You might have open interest cleaned out, but you have no bull div. You have bull div, but you don't have open interest cleaned out. So it's never gonna be the trifecta that you want. So you wanna anticipate or go into the situation trying to figure out what would be good. And at the end of the day, you don't have to be the first wick taker. You can wait for more confirmation. You're going to sacrifice a couple $100 on the entry, but it's much better to let it form. If you can't figure it out or you don't see something clear or it didn't do what you anticipated, just sit back, relax. Alrighty, but is this stuff kind of making sense? Shorters, I'm rooting for you. Bulls, bears, we're all lions. Schwiggity, schwaggity, schwaggity, schwaggity. Let's go. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Market makers, do your thing.